I have to say this is my first time at Rapid City, all the way from the Uber driver, from the taxi driver, to the Lyft driver, to the bartenders, to all of you who I've met. What a great city. You have a lot of pride in your city. If all of America had as much pride as you do in your city, this America would be a lot better place. So I just want to thank you guys for your hospitality. And thinking of hospitality, I'm thinking of Golden West as well. If everyone from Golden West can just stand up for a quick second. Oh, there's none of you now, right? Okay, all right. Listen, that's it. Attention to detail, logistics. I knew when we started this event about 60 days ago that this was gonna be an awesome one. Every single one of those people that just stood up had a hand in making you guys feel welcome, taking some educational bits that you have and bringing it back to your organization. So this is pretty cool. Happy to be a part of it. Not happy to close it because I wanted this thing to go on a little bit longer, but let's have some fun here a little bit. So let me just find out who here is from Rapid City. Okay, where are you from? Yeah, Kansas. And what brought you to Rapid City? Your wife's shop, okay. How about someone else that's not from Rapid City? Anyone else? Okay, where are you from? New Orleans? Florida? Oh, Florida, what part? Jacksonville, okay. They looked good the other day, the Jaguars, okay. All right, so the reason I brought this up was not because I'm really curious, where people are from, is because I wanted to take their voice and use it for deepfake, all right? How many here know what deepfake is? All right, well then I don't have to give the definition, but basically deepfake is you're taking somebody's voice, putting it through AI to go and get some financial gain, some power, some influence, or amongst other things. All right, we talked about a guy that was a 26-year-old analyst from Memphis. Basically, his boss called him up and asked him to deposit $13 million into one account, two accounts, three accounts, till around $37 million, so they found out it was a fraudulent account. All right, how about the guy that used another guy's voice to call the other guy's wife to find out what the garage code was in order to get into the garage to go and ransack it? And then another guy that used another guy's voice to call that other guy's wife late at night to have a little bit of a talk that she realized halfway in there that it really wasn't him. So this is some scary stuff. And if you think this is like something that is just kind of the new latest and greatest, this is from the Hill. This is basically a news outlet from the DC. It's supposed to be bipartisan, but what's bipartisan anymore, right? And there was 6 things that they say that can influence an election. 6 things. One of them is a cybersecurity attack. Okay, that's pretty crazy, right? Like this is something we really haven't heard too much about, kind of had a little bit of discussions and whispers of it in 2016. But the other one that they said is creating a deep fake to the election. So basically you can have one of these guys that are in the Republican convention can get out there and say anything, and just because they said it, just because you saw them say it, you believe it. And that's scary. That is absolutely scary. So these are one of 6 things, or 2 of 6 things that can actually influence what this election is going to be. We're going to talk a little bit more about that, but I want to establish a tenor here. A tenor is that, look, Golden West isn't going to save AI, okay? Because if they were, we would be doing this in the Taj Mahal. But what they are is that they have the toolkits. They have the skill sets to be able to tell you what's real, what's not real, and guide you into the right direction. No introduction for me, I'm Matt Scully. This is basically what I do. I go to different parts of the United States, talk a little bit about these threats that are happening right now, and then bring back any type of conversations to our headquarters and basically find out a better way to service and give good delivery back to people like Golden West, okay? So I do appreciate the time that I did get to spend with you guys, and hopefully we continue to do that as more. A little bit about the company I represent. Datto started in 2007 as a 21-year-old kid who did not want to work for anybody, and 2, he was a tinker. He'd like to create things. So he created this backup box, sent it to the blog. Somebody bought it. Datto's first customer. Called up his friends from Rochester Institute of Technologies and says, yo, I think I got something here, and he did. Today, we protect almost 2.5 million small, medium-sized businesses across the world. We have literally over 6,000 employees that work with us. We have 1 exabyte, which is a lot of storage, as I'm sure if you guys understand. Does anyone know what an exabyte is? It's a lot. It's a lot. So anyway, so it just goes to show you how this little small idea in 2007 took off. So what we're going to talk about is cyber threats disrupting business operations. I want you to take a look at this. This was a house in Mexico. When the guy bought it, probably paid a little bit more money than the guys, his neighbors. I saw the before and after pictures. The before pictures had a lot more houses. They had a lot more aesthetically pleasing, a lot of different landscapers. This guy probably paid more money. It's probably not the prettiest house that you're going to see, but he did something different. What he did was he was saying, when a hurricane is going to happen, will I be protected? Not if. And that's how you guys got to approach your IT infrastructure of when a disaster is going to happen and not if. And what we do is we do it through what we call cyber resilience. It used to be cybersecurity, but now it's cyber resilience. Now, here's the technical definition of what cyber resilience is. But it really comes down to identify, protect, detect, respond, and then recover. Okay, that's the NIST framework. That's what it looks like. All right, I want you guys to humor me for a second. Don't picture me as a 50-something, well, 48, and pushing 300 pounds. Picture me as a 25-year-old good-looking guy, okay? I identify like that. I got this beautiful girlfriend. I protect her by giving her Tiffany boxes and taking her out to dinner. She's so beautiful, you guys trying to keep slipping in your DMs into her, and I respond by kicking your ass, and we live happily ever after. That's not the way it works. We identify the assets, we protect them, okay, then we detect anything that's coming in, any abnormalities, I never got it correct, stuff that doesn't look right, how about better? Then what we do is respond and we recover. But here was the problem. The problem was that 90% of the cybersecurity companies hung out in the protect mode, hung out there. And they didn't put too much into the actual detect. And that's scary. And that's scary because you know what? Once the hackers are in the detect mode, it could be 150 to 250 days before they are detected. And then by the time they go to recover, it could take up to 20 months. All right. So the difference really in that cybersecurity comes down to a couple different things. Is the cybersecurity, the first part is all about the technology. The second part is about the people, but it's a whole entire process. Okay, let me explain to you what I mean by that. Okay, so if you were to look at this from a hacker standpoint, okay, the reconnaissance, this is the hacker saying, okay, we're gonna go attack, all right? What are we gonna do? We're gonna find someone that's vulnerable on the dark web. We're gonna read a report, an IT report on a city, a municipality, and see how weak it is. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna weaponize it and we're gonna do the delivery. And then boom, okay, that's the attack, the red. If you guys are not protecting yourself into that detect mode, then what happens is that it's the installation, it's the command, and then it's the action of objective, which is basically a financial gain. So here you are, you're taking a look at them, and most, as I said, most people stop at that protect side. But again, there's a whole new set of sectors that you need to take a look at and protect yourself. And these are conversations that you need to have with Golden West. I'll give you a perfect example, Dole. Okay, everybody knows Dole, right? If not, you're not healthy. Come on, it's fruit. All right, good. All right. Anyway, Dole got hit for $10.5 million. Now, Dole's a big, huge corporation. All right, let's not feel too bad for Dole. But they got hit in only one location, and that was in Chile. In Chile, they got hit. So basically what happened was that was a place where they had legacy computers, and that's where they were vulnerable. All right? So the other locations where they got hit, they were fine because they had the detection there. They were able to capture the guys as they were coming in. And it says any deficiencies and gaps in the company's technologies, processes, and people need to be addressed strategically to prevent future occurrence of similar threats. Learning from a previous incident and using it to develop strategic initiatives is critical to not be a repeat victim to similar attacks from other threat groups. That guy is screaming that you need to take a look at the detect sector on it. Okay, because they were prepared of when it's going to happen versus if. So we look at this and we see these are the top verticals. I can't stand this slide because it's everywhere. Basically, if you could fog a mirror, you know what, a hacker will go after you. I think of a lady, her name was Sharon McKeel. She was a doggy daycare lady. She literally takes dogs out and finds them homes. She got hit, and then guess what? She had to pay $1,500 in Bitcoin. Okay, Bitcoin community got together and say, Sharon, we hate this, that this is part of our community. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go and we're gonna raise funds and we're gonna cover the Bitcoin ransom for you. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because Sharon proved to the hackers that she exists. She also proved to the hackers that she's willing to pay. And guess what? That's a perfect opportunity for a future attack because that attack will happen again. All right. Now, I don't really like reading these things that are on slides, but the one thing that I do want to cover here is that SMBs lack strong cybersecurity defenses. Okay, they don't have the resources to combat or prevent these disasters. They can't afford to go a day without money coming in. They can't afford to have their reputation to be hurt. Okay, they can't afford litigation. Think about that, all right? You're a dentist's office and your systems are down. Someone comes in and they're like, oh man, my tooth is killing me. My tooth is killing me. You can just see the pain. And that person's behind the desk and say, I'm sorry, our systems are down. I don't know what's in your file. I don't know what I can offer you. And finally, he talks him or her into writing her a script for CVS or a pharmacy around here. And guess what? That guy goes to the pharmacy, he gets the Vicodin, and then he ODs. Who's in trouble? Who's in trouble? Okay, all because the systems are down. That's a litigation. And that guarantee you that dentist will be taken right off the map from there. Think about that. Think about going to a restaurant and it's closed and you think to yourself, man, I'll never go there again. All right, Lincoln College, Lincoln, Illinois, named after, oh, come on. Do we have to go to Mount Rushmore? Is he up there, Lincoln, on that one? Is he one of the guys? All right, all right. All right, named after Lincoln, got hit with a ransom attack in December 2021. Fundraising, recruiting, all were halted to March of 2022. Too late, 157-year-old institution, gone, gone. All right, this stuff is scary. And again, this is a big, huge university. All these different things have stats. The stats that number one, that I always say is January 30th, 2020, the first coronavirus victim in the United States. Phishing attacks went up literally 68% just on that one day, and then just continue to go and go. See, what these hackers do is they take these social situations, all right, and they take the concerns, and what they do is they double on them, and they try to go and they try to hit you into the heartstrings on it, or into your safety. That's what these guys do. So right here, we talked about our boom, okay? So we talked about this. Now we have what we call, I'm not gonna get into the technical of it, it's called RPO and RTO, but I'm gonna say the before and after. Let's just say you're a law firm, you get hit, okay? All of a sudden you don't have access to your files, folders, systems, and application, okay? That's the before. But you know what? Your systems are down and you can't continue to work. That is the after. So you don't have access to your systems, your files, folders, systems, applications, and you can't continue to work, okay? This is where we come in, what we call is business continuity. Repeat that with me, business continuity. Yes, okay, it's different from a backup. Backup is literally 10%, 10 cents to the business continuity dollars. So let's just show you really quick how this works, okay? And I promise you, this is the only salesy thing I'm gonna do, I promise you. All right, you're working and everything's hunky-dory, everything's fine, blah, 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 all right? And then all of a sudden, there's the ransomware thing comes up. What you're able to do is you're able to plug right into one of our Datto boxes, virtually or physical, and then you literally, within seconds, you're up and running, everything is great. That's why we became a multi-billion-dollar industry, a multi-billion-dollar company in just a couple of years, because we have the few companies that can actually go ahead and do that. All right. And the other thing also, let's just say that someone decided to pour coffee into the Datto box and you're not able to access the Datto box. We have 2 data centers, which we will host you from up there. So you get a big, huge hurricane, knocks out the Datto box, go to a place where you can access the internet. And then what we'll do is we'll give you an IP address and then you can just work from there. Capiche? And if something happens at the one data center, you also have a second copy across the country. If something happens at both data centers, we got bigger problems, right? All right. So this is what it looks like. You just literally go right into where you would find an internet, and then you can just choose. So let's just say your attack, that big red thing comes in at 11 o'clock. You just go to 1050, and then you just pull it up, and then your whole entire IT infrastructures, including your applications, come right up, and it's business as usual. Couple other things. I just wanted to mention this one here. This is in Minneapolis. I don't know if anyone heard about this. Minneapolis Public Schools. They got hit in March of 2023. Good news, they did have a business continuity solution in place. What they did not have was an AV, okay, an antivirus. And because of that, they got hit pretty bad. And these guys are scumbags, right? Like the guys that are the hackers. What they did was they took every kid that was on a PPP, or they took every kid that was having some emotional problems, kids that were suicidal, kids that had abuse from their parents. And they put a video out saying, we're gonna release all this information unless you pay us. Well, thankfully they didn't. They did not have to pay them because they had a business continuity solution in place. And then the Minneapolis board met literally within 2 days after the attack to go get it approved a 1.75 AV. Okay, that's scary. So when you are talking to people that say, well, we're gonna meet on this next quarter, you may not have the time to do so, because God forbid those things got released. And of course, locally here, some of this stuff, every single time I go and do another city, I'm able to find find a couple stories where there was local ransomware attacks. This one right here, they discovered it in February, and then they lost the evidence in April. Have you guys heard about this one? It's okay. They discovered it in, they lost some evidence in April, so they don't know who was compromised and who wasn't. So what they did was they took all the impacted victims, which again, they don't know who it is or who it isn't, all right, and gave them free credit monitoring for a year. That's so nice. Try to have that conversation with them, all right, because I guarantee you, what is this? I don't know. I'll have to find whatever the name of this place is. There's a competitor, and if you're going to compromise, you're going to be not have the proper cyber hygiene. I'm going to want to look at competitor of who this is. All right, so it's not all just physical. We're also looking at SaaS protection as well. Some just stats: 1 out of 3 companies are using SaaS, lose data. You could think about this in a couple different ways. You could think about a guy that is working for the company, and then all of a sudden he just wants to go into a competitor. So he wants to go through all the data that he used in OneDrive, SharePoint, wipe it clean, and then go to the competitor, disarming his current employer and then arming his new one. With a backup, you're able to have that. Or how about people that leave the company and then they don't have they lose their license. They don't want to pay for a license anymore. So then now you have all their data that they've used over the years. There's different ways. It doesn't have to be malicious. Somebody could forget to realize it's 93 days until the recycling bin and not renew a license, whatever the case be. All that data could be gone. All right. So what we're saying with this, when it comes down to Microsoft 365, and this is why you need to back up your SaaS data, is that they provide protection of the cloud. Okay, it's not going to be easy to get into the Microsoft cloud, but what goes in it is up to you. Okay, they can't with any type of deletion. What goes in and what goes out, that's on you. So that's why it's important to go and protect your SaaS data. All right. So rounding third here, just a couple different small things here that I think that this is sort of the thought leadership piece of this presentation. I'm sure, Katie, you probably mentioned on a bunch of these earlier today, so I apologize if they're repetitive. They were embedded into the thing, so I do ask you to forgive me. But the number one thing is that you're a target, offline and online. Doesn't matter how big you are, doesn't matter how small you are. It's not when, it's not if, it's when it's going to happen, and you've got to understand that. You've got to understand that. Number 2, policies and procedures, okay? Maybe you don't want your employees going onto Facebook or don't want to go on Twitter during the day. I'll give you an example. Brad Pitt, Mr. Benjamin Button's here. Basically what happened a couple of years ago, he was going through a very public divorce with Angelina Jolie, and someone saw that he died. It was on a Fox News, it was on an ABC, NBC, CNN logos were on it, all different ones, and it was put all over Twitter. And if you clicked on it to find out that how did Brad Pitt die, then basically what happened was that they infiltrated your company on it, okay? That's a phishing attack, okay? No, it's not an email phishing, but it's something right there that they're trying to cause you to go and click on it out of human interest, all right? Ongoing employee training, okay? And that starts with Golden West, okay? Now, a good place to start is actually to go into their website and look at some of the blogs that they have there. Because again, it's some interesting stuff that can go and it can save your business, all right? Let me pull it up. Ooh. Oh, I did the wrong one. Okay, this is just something that was pulled right from their website, all right? Look at these blogs, okay? There's educated people that are into the cyber resilience world that are writing these blogs. These are stuff that you should take a look at least once a week, okay? And report to your employees on it. All right, password management. Now, this one I love talking about because, again, I can't really see right now, but what is the number one password right now? No overused password? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many people are guilty of that? Or password? How many people have password as their password? If any of you raised your hands, I'm telling you right now, all right, we would have cut off the lunch here, okay? Yes, my password is password, all right? But listen to this, okay? There was a college in Spain that went to the little auditorium there, or not the auditorium, I don't know, whatever, atrium. And they went up to people and they said, look, I'll give you chocolate if you give me your password. 30% of the people gave their password. 30% of the people. That's scary. That's absolutely scary. So again, when you recognize, some of you will recognize some of the names of these passwords because some of you use them. I mean, just know that there's some smart hacker out there. It doesn't even have to be a smart hacker. It could be one of those ransomware bots or ransomware as a service. You guys ever heard of this ransomware as a service? They're basically in the dark web that they literally have a ransomware kit and they say, here you go. This is all you have to do. And now you can go provide ransomware to somebody. Doesn't he have to be the fat hacker in the bedroom that's eating ice cream that's 39 years old living with mom? No, doesn't have to be that way. So these guys are able to make money by selling money. And basically what happens for every attack that they get, they have to give 40% of the people that sold it, the ransomware kit to them. So again, these hackers, they don't have to be sophisticated. City of Atlanta, all right, I know I don't have that much time here, but the city of Atlanta that got killed with ransomware, okay, ended up costing over $52 million in downtime. You know how they got hit? Because there's a report, I talked about how much the city of Atlanta IT infrastructure sucks. And somebody from named Sam in Iran read that and was like, yeah, that's who we're going after. That's who we're going after. So we've got to become more aware. We've got to become more aware. Multi-factor authentication, okay? I don't want to go into a political rant here, but all you have to do is Google John Podesta. Does anyone know that name? Yes, some of you do, and some of you are smiling because they know this name. He was Hillary's campaign manager, okay? He didn't have a two-factor authentication on his email, and guess what? He got hacked. It's just up for debate, but because those emails were leaked literally a couple days before the election, who knows? Who knows? Okay, never leave devices unattended. You guys should have a little bit of, in each of your own offices. If you see a device, a laptop or a phone that's left unattended, all right, put a scorecard, embarrass the person until they learn. All right, be careful on what you click. Okay, historically, you look at us as a multi-billion-dollar company, and people thought it was the fires, the floods, and the tornadoes. But actually, that only makes up 6% of our business. It's all human error, okay? Because when it comes to technology, humans suck at technology. And that's why you guys are here to learn about what can we do to make them suck less, right? I mean, I can tell you a bunch of different ones, and I think the biggest one is, with, again, not going into a story here, is the Jimmy Kimmel. Remember when he had to go and he had to announce the Oscar and it was the wrong name? Right? Do you remember that? No Jimmy Kimmel fans. Basically, he was at the Oscars and it was the award for his best picture. And all Jimmy had to do was take the envelope, hand it to Warren Beatty, and he was going to announce who won best picture. And they got the wrong name. They used forensics for polling and they used forensics to keep the results in a hotel that you couldn't get in that hotel unless you had specifically, your hand forensics in there, okay? So then they get the results and they give it to a guy that was supposed to hand it to Jimmy Kimmel, then was supposed to hand it to Warren Beatty. The guy is taking selfies. He took the wrong envelope. So technology can only go so far, but it's up for humans to take it to the other way. Antivirus and malware protection, we talked about that, all right? Establish an incident response plan. This one's the one that scares me. 70%, okay, of corporations do not have a ransomware response plan. 70%. Oh, you are writing it down. I see all of you right now writing that down. Let's get one. Talk to Golden West. Talk to your rep at Golden West. And by the way, you guys can have my presentation if you want. Just talk to your rep at Golden West. It's theirs. There's no lock on it or anything like that. But I'm telling you, if I'm an IT reseller, an MSP, I'd be a multimillionaire. You know why? Because I would go up to you and I'd say, what happens when you get ransomware? What do you do? And you start shuffling the papers over and everything like that, right? So again, you need to have an incident response plan. Again, it's not if, it's when. All right. And again, I got this actually from the Golden West blog. All right. Just take a look at this. Some of the stuff might be right in there. All right. Because as Mike Tyson says, everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face, right? In other words, I could do this. We'll be fine. I have cyber insurance. Cyber insurance. You know how hard it is to get cyber insurance? How about this company, okay? They were a manufacturing company in Detroit. And guess what happened? They go to get their cyber insurance claim. And Travelers was like, nah, no, we're not doing it. You can't get it. You know why? Because Travelers asked them 250 questions and they misrepresented themselves on one. By purpose, by mistake, I have no idea. okay? It was a two-factor authentication question. They misrepresented themselves on one of those questions. And guess what? Travelers said, no, these underwriters, they're not looking to go and pay out, especially the way that cyber crimes are surging. No way. They're looking for reasons not to. All right? And continuity, which we talked about earlier, is a must-have, So I have one more thing, and then I'm going to be done, and then I guess we're going to have some fun up here, is this. How many here remember a video store before Blockbuster? Oh, yeah, all of you were born in the 90s, right? Yeah. All right, come on. Give me one name. I probably won't deep fake it. What? Okay, Movie Magic, Academy Video, Village Video, all that stuff. And then what happened, right? Like Blockbuster came in and just like kicked everyone's ass, regardless if you were in Anchorage, you're in Connecticut, Rapid City, just destroyed everyone, right? And it was like, hey, we have more new releases when they come out. It's Monday before midnight. Don't forget to rewind. You could go with a family. You could get some popcorn and all that fun stuff. Well, then something happened around 1995, 1996, where a company said, VHSs, they're not a thing of the future. You don't have to rewind it. Or you don't have to go to the Blockbuster store. Well, we'll just mail it to you and mail it back to us. You can share it with your friends. And what was that company? Netflix, right? So then Blockbuster got to the game a little bit, and they're like, okay, we could do DVDs, And I think there was a portion of that also did the mailing and stuff like that. But then Netflix saw that bandwidth was going like literally like 5,000 times quicker than it was before. So what did Netflix started doing? They started streaming, right? And then Blockbuster got into the game and started trying to stream. And again, it didn't have the technology that Netflix did. And Netflix saw that smart TVs were coming out, jumped on that contract, and then you couldn't buy a smart TV without having a Netflix app in there, right? And then Blockbuster got in there, right? But again, now 3/4 of their stores are already done, right? But then it was around 2007, maybe 2008, that Netflix had the final punch. And do we remember what that final punch was? No, we don't. They started streaming their own content. They started creating their own content. And that's when Blockbuster got way out of it. They got way out of it, all right? Here's my point. It's not to talk to you about Netflix and Blockbuster. It's to tell you that, listen, we've survived for so many years on traditional way of doing things. But the world is changing. It's gotten a lot more complex. There's much more compliance. We're going into this, what we call this digitalization era, okay? Any top speaker will tell you about what the digitalization era is. They're gonna be taking AI, they're gonna be dissecting it, all right? And using it for workload strategies, CISOs, CIOs, okay? All right? We gotta start changing. We gotta look at the way that the future's going and change. And that's how you're gonna be able to sustain, and that's how you're gonna be able to grow. Thank you very much, guys.